Anyway, back to it. Enough of the silly part. Let's talk about the silly part.
Oh, the
What
silly
happened,
part.
Chris?
The silly part
Yeah.
in the news.
Tell me what happened.
Some interesting things. Some really funny things that I found funny that is just funny.
Is it funny? Will I laugh? Will I be entertained and amused?
Well, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Okay.
Shirt and doubtful.
So,
Yeah.
the FBI is investigating, or should I say, they're involved in a huge feud between Disney and the governor of Florida.
Which is more entertaining than anything Disney's done in the past 3 years.
So apparently, and this is just some of the things I've heard. All right, so governor of Florida,
Ron DeSantis, yes.
Yes, Ron DeSantis, has apparently there's a new team of like board of the state, you know, and they have plans of property around Disney World, and they're thinking about putting things like a state prison and another a revival amusement park to go up against Disney itself. Disney does not like this, so they are now looking at moving Disney World from Florida to another state. Now, some reason FBI is involved in all of this, and of all that I've read, technically, there is no explanation of why the FBI is involved in any of this. Or, like, is Disney World moving? Which it sounds like it is. And it also sounds like that the governor of Florida is just trying to kill Florida.
Okay, I've actually been tracking this story. Let me explain what's actually happening.
Please.
Let me actually explain what's happening here.
Please explain.
All right, so Ron DeSantis won the governorship of Florida about 4 years ago in a squeaker of an election. I mean, it was real close.
Squeaker?
It was a squeaker. It was like a Mickey Mouse squeaker. I think he won by 20,000 votes statewide. Okay, but in the 4 years since then, he instituted something that he's instituted a bunch of conservative policies and stuff that basically have been handing back control of the state government back to local political groups and trying to give more power back to the cities and the county levels. Well, one of the city and county levels that the state of Florida deals with that almost nobody else in America deals with is Walt Disney. You got to understand something. Walt Disney owns a good chunk of Orlando. Okay, no. Orlando is the city that actually grew up around the Walt Disney Park right there. I never could keep Disneyland, Disney World.
I don't mean.
I think it's Disney World in Florida, Disneyland in
Disney World's
California.
in Florida.
So,
yeah.
So what happened was Walt Disney actually established its own government. The area is called Reedy Creek in that general area. And so Orlando City Police do not respond. They don't have jurisdiction, we'll say, in Walt Disney World. Walt Disney does its own policing. Walt Disney does its own government administration.
Really?
Walt Disney does its own trash pickup, its own utilities. It runs its own electric company. It does.
I did not know
has
any of this.
It has its own mayor. It has its own, basically, city council just for the Disney property. Okay, and this was part of why they moved to Florida, because when Walt Disney got the idea in his head, he wanted to put it in Florida because they had a bunch of swampland there they got for cheap. And the idea was they got the concession from the state of Florida to give them some autonomy, because it would be so huge and such a huge investment that honestly having an outside source would be interfering with it to the point where Walt Disney World just would not work with a bunch of outside interference and stuff. That was the bill of goods sold in the state of Florida. Fast forward, Ron DeSantis, one of the things he puts in after he gets reelected in a landslide, one of the things he gets in is a reform that would restrict the amount of sex education given to kids in kindergarten through third grade. Okay? In other words, you could not discuss sexuality with a child in between kindergarten and third grade without parental involvement and permission, which just ticked the teachers' unions off because they just love talking dirty to kindergartners. Okay? I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not in Florida. I'm not a teacher, nor am I in a union. So I don't understand any of it. But obviously they took offense at that. And the teachers' union started rallying. Well, they couldn't get the people of the state of Florida to get angry at Governor DeSantis for pushing this because the people who lived in Florida actually supported it, especially the parents. So they had to go get their hoodlum friends in the media involved, and that's how Disney gets involved. The Walt Disney Company gets it into their head after the media's been painting this as a "don't say gay" bill. That you remember "don't say gay"? Have you ever heard of that phrase? No. It was referred to in the national media as the "don't say gay" bill. The idea is don't tell kids about homosexuality and let them think that it's an option for them. That's the way they were painting this. They didn't paint it as a fact that pedophiles couldn't get access to kids in kindergarten through third grade. Pedophiles in the state school system would have to wait until fourth grade at least to start going after these kids. So, yeah, I said it, and we'll see how long it stays up on YouTube. Anyway, so the Walt Disney Company comes out, and remember, Walt Disney owns a bunch of different things. They don't just own Disney, they don't just own Marvel, they don't just own Lucasfilm, they don't just own 20th Century Fox, they also own ABC. So ABC starts the "don't say gay" name, okay? And then Disney comes straight out and says they will actively do whatever it takes to have this bill overturned. And Governor DeSantis says, "Oh yeah? How are you going to do that?" And Walt Disney says, "We'll do everything we can to make sure that Governor DeSantis gets punished for doing this, even if it means he doesn't get reelected." Like I said, he got reelected in a landslide. That didn't work. Well, when DeSantis got reelected in a landslide, turns out that gives him a lot of political capital to play with. Disney's going to be punished. So there goes the Reedy Creek development. There goes the Buena Vista autonomy. And there goes all the special tax considerations they got from the state of Florida, which is what really ticked them off because for the first time in its history, the Walt Disney Company has to pay the city of Orlando property tax.
Wow.
And they now have to pay corporate income tax to the state of Florida. That's what ticked Disney off, and that's where all this came from. So DeSantis said, "Hey, all you got to do is just back off, just leave the kids alone." And Disney would not do it. Disney continued doubling down. They said, "We're going to fight this through the courts." They took it to court. Okay? Disney actually paid for lawyers to take the state of Florida to court over this bill. Of course, the fact that the Walt Disney Company in their little autonomous zone, they own their own school system just for the kids of their employees and stuff, the people who live there. Wow. So yeah, so it gets nastier and nastier the deeper you dig. That's the story that's going on that they're not telling you about. Disney is in no way innocent here, and quite frankly, it's not a Mickey Mouse operation either. There is an awful lot and it's too much to go into here on Geeking Out. If you really want to know more about it, run next door over to Clownfish TV. Those guys do Disney pretty much full time, and they have been talking about this since it first broke out like 2 or 3 years ago. So, Clownfish TV, go check them out. They're a couple of good kids over there. There's the loudest chair in podcasting right there. So we just knocked that news thing out of the park. You feeling a little better about Ron DeSantis in the state of Florida now?
Yeah, and I didn't know. I didn't know a lot about that. I didn't know. I especially didn't know that Disney had their own.
Disney had
That's
seriously. This is several dozen. This is several dozen square miles of an autonomous zone inside the state of Florida, right next door to Orlando. And it's not a joke. Disney had its own speed limits and everything. They had their own jail. Disney had their own jail. It's not even a joke. They were a de facto independent government.
So this puts that whole myth of they have Walt Disney's head in a frozen thing kind of like, they probably do.
They probably do.
Wow.
Odds are they probably shake his head like a magic 8-ball to find out what their next project is. But the problem is it's frozen solid and it's stuck on stupid ideas, and that's why they keep remaking all these stupid.
What would Disney do? Anyway.
Rot. Anyway.
In other news, apparently Jamie Foxx was rushed to the hospital not too long ago.
Yeah.
But is out. So
yeah.
He suffered medical complications, but they don't seem to know exactly why. So
Jamie Foxx but they don't know why.
Do not know why.
And it would be very wrong of me to speculate some kind of drug overdose. That would just be wrong because there's no evidence of that whatsoever. In spite of the fact that nobody wants to talk about it. But what else we got, Chris?
There are some
That's the nice thing about being broke. I'm largely lawsuit proof. Go ahead.
There's some upcoming movie sequels and stuff that is happening.
Why?
So let's go through the list here.
Yeah.
You remember Twister?
Okay, we're either talking about that crappy little movie about tornadoes from about 25 years ago, or we're talking about that crappy little board game from about 50 years ago.
No, not the board game. We're talking about the movie, about the tornadoes. Movie. Twister 2 is now in production. Will be hitting theaters July 19th, 2024. Now, here's the thing. I actually did like the first Twister movie. There was something about it that I was like, I like this. However, I got the plot details of the second movie, and I do not like it. So, basically, in the first movie, Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton, who is no longer with us, they did hook up at the end of the movie, and they had a kid. Well, the second movie is about the kid, and she apparently invented this new thing that will help predict storms and all that stuff. And her ex-husband comes out of the woodworks, tries to steal the invention, and then other people get involved to help. And basically, it's the same plot as the first movie, pretty much. Because that's what happened in the first one. It's like they had this new invention, and then you had a rival team that tried to stop them and do it, take their idea and do it themselves, and, all that good stuff. Basically, it's the same plot. Yeah, there you go.
Twister 2, Twisterer.
Twisterer.
Wow, this sounds like... honestly, this sounds like a Weather Channel fanfic. Can we move on, please?
Yes. In production, which is one I'm actually excited about.
I haven't heard that title. That would be an awesome title to have for our first film, In Production.
No.
Now going in production.
In production is Sherlock Holmes 3, with Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Sherlock Holmes.
I like that. I like those two movies far, far more than I should have.
I know they were so good,
especially considering I was such a cumberbitch. But
well,
anyway.
my issue was Guy Ritchie. Like I did not like Guy Ritchie, and then
you did.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, actually, you did
like
some good movies.
Let me explain. Nobody liked Guy Ritchie when he was dating Madonna.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he stopped being Mr. Madonna, all of a sudden, turned out he actually had some talent. Who knew?
That is true, yeah. That's good.
Just like when Lenny Kravitz was Lisa Bonet's boyfriend, and he had talent. Who knew?
That is true. So, yeah, that is happening. And another one that we both are excited for. Are you ready? Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
That's right. The movie is in production right now, and they have released photos showing Ernie Hudson, Paul Rudd, and back as, I don't know if he's going to be a villain. I can't really say he's going to be a villain. He might actually changed his mind after the first movie. But actor William Atherton, I think his name is, reprising his role as Walter Peck. Remember the
EPA guy from Hell. Boy, there's just so many levels you can go to. Is Dan Aykroyd involved with this one? I'm sure he is.
They're all
back. Good. They're all involved.
Every Ghostbuster is back.
Dan Aykroyd runs hot and cold nowadays. Okay, sometimes you get good Dan Aykroyd, the one who did Driving Miss Daisy and Bassomatic back in the day. Sometimes you don't get good Dan Aykroyd, and you wind up with kind of skeevy kinds of things. If we can get the Ghostbusters to just rip the EPA apart, that would be hilarious. But we'll see what we get, because honestly, just how far does the EPA's jurisdiction go into the netherworld? Would be, especially with all the sulfur down there. There'll be some air quality violations, to be sure.
That is true.
All right, well, yeah, okay. If Ernie Hudson's involved and they've got Paul Rudd in there.
Oh, everybody's involved, and the whole story that we thought was going to happen, where the original Ghostbusters will be coming back to train a bunch of brand new Ghostbusters. That is the idea for the next movie.
Just the way it should have been, because quite frankly, these poor boys are now they're not in their 70s, they're pushing 70. So, matter of fact, they are all definitely in their 70s now that I think about it. So they should probably,
And everybody,
pass the torch.
And as far as I know of, everybody from Ghostbusters Afterlife will be in this movie. And I'm expecting, I presume that it's going to be like what I thought it would be, which is where, you're going to have the girl from the afterlife make new inventions or something.
Yeah.
And the other, her older brother is going to be like working on the car and maybe a few other things. They might actually be out there ghostbusting themselves. I don't know. But
yeah, it'll be fun. Especially if it's a Ghost Core joint, then like when we reviewed Ghostbusters Afterlife, I said this is the most excited I've been about the franchise since the first film. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, it's better than the second film by leaps and bounds, and I'm not even get into the third one. I actually got a lot of the vibe. Exactly, I got a lot. It went straight from 2 to 4. But again, it had a lot of the vibe from the cartoon as well, the real Ghostbusters, which one of the flat out best adaptations of a Hollywood property for Saturday morning ever. If you can get it on video, get it on video. It's worth the time. We should
definitely do a back rec on the Ghostbusters animated series.
Yes.
Talk about the best episodes.
Yes, we actually should. I should sit down and do a dissection on why I rave so much about real Ghostbusters. And yeah, we definitely need to load that into the back rack. We've still got a National Lampoon thing to do sometime or another when I actually get around to doing a history of the history of the Black Lampoon. Oh Lord. This might be a Geekin' Out special edition.
National Lampoon.
a Geeking Out special edition on the National Lampoon, not the Black Lampoon, or the National Lagoon. So, and yes, Dan Aykroyd's in that one too. So, and Bill Murray and Harold Ramis and a whole bunch of people that a lot of household names that you know today got their start in the National Lampoon before there was a Saturday Night Live. Yes. So we'll talk about that whenever I get around to doing it. Me, Chris, and the loudest
we might do it
podcasting right there. Yeah,
we might do it next weekend. We'll do
sometime when we actually have the inclination to do so. Yes. As soon as the weather stops going up, down, up, down, up, and down like a jackrabbit on a hot day. So, what else we got, Chris?
Super Mario takes home. Are you ready? You want to read that great?
I told you I got the vibe from Super Mario Brothers movie that it was going to frickin' explode because there's nothing else out there. It's going to be the next Top Gun Maverick. Go ahead, Chris. Tell them what the number is.
866 million globally.
And just rolling right along. I don't see anybody really who's going to slow this down. This thing is going to listen. Super Mario Brothers movie, I guarantee, just again like Top Gun Maverick, it's going to be in theaters until it hits video, and it's going to be one of those rare movies that runs on both at the same time, and not like the COVID ones where they did the simultaneous release. Super Mario Brothers is going to be in the theaters probably 3 months, probably into July, and they'll be there when the video hits. If it hasn't hit already, I don't think it's hit yet, but
on video?
On video.
No, it's not on video.
But it's coming.
So people are talking about how in the theaters, like certain movies are like not making money in theaters, and why some are. And they found out, the movies that are, some of the big movies that are out right now that are not making as much money, but they're like, why not? Is because most of them are streaming on
one service or
on the service somewhere well.
And as a result, you're just cannibalizing your box office revenue for that. Again, idiots. But I tried to tell them, they won't listen.
Well done, Super Mario. Okay.
So Super Mario. Mark my words. We're going way north of $1 billion. I'm actually thinking that's going to place right around Iron Man territory. It's going to be like 1.5.
Also,
at least
because of this, Nintendo is starting to. There's in talks of Nintendo doing their own studio to make more projects like this. So, which means we might actually get a Zelda movie or something. But yeah. So yeah.
Gosh, sounds familiar, don't it? Anyway.
Now
I don't even talk about it anymore because y'all know if I sit here and I start pulling predictions out of my rump, just take it to the bank. You know what's going to happen.
Okay, you want to hear something funny?
The fact that I can pull all these predictions out of my butt, but I can't pull a lottery number for nothing?
No, this is a different story.
That's just sad. Yeah, tell me something funny. I want to laugh.
Okay.
L-A-F-F.
All right.
I want to larf.
So, back in the 70s, they were going to do
a funny time.
A little spin-off from like the X-Men stuff.
Yeah.
It was called DAZZLER.
Oh, Lord. No.
Now.
No.
This was going to have.
No.
Are you ready?
No.
Kiss. The Village People.
Yes, I remember that.
And Cher.
Yes, I remember.
Diana Summers.
Donna Summer.
Donna Summers.
And Diana Ross.
And it was also going to have the star of Rodney Dangerfield as well. And it was inspired apparently by Grace Jones or something like that. So
I don't see the Grace Jones thing, but yeah.
That's what it said. I was like, oh,
Man.
but yeah.
Mm-hmm. So is this something they're doing now or something?
No, this was something that was apparently they found out.
How? All right, look. Anybody who doesn't know who Dazzler is the disco-powered mutant, okay? She's not a mutant-powered disco. She's a disco-powered mutant. Seriously, the Disney's Dazzler's shtick, she can take disco music and turn it into a light show. She takes sound and converts it to light. That's her power. Perfectly suited. Originally came out around 78, 79 in the X-Men book. Wound up with its own book. Lasted about 3 weeks, and then somebody finally ran out of hash, and they just sobered up and like, well, what in the hell were we doing? He has been the running joke of the X universe since. But hey, by all means, let's dump a little more dung on the fire.
It was also going to have Spider-Man and the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, with the 70s, you had all of them that was very...
You know, you can see the Incredible Hulk movies on Pluto now. Not the ones that Ang Lee or any of these other guys did for Disney. The ones with Bill Bixby. They turn up on the Sci-Fi Channel every once in a while, where you get to see Hollywood's original idea of what these Marvel heroes would have looked like on film. Thor is awful hairy and furry. I'm serious. He wears a fur coat, and he's taking on Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk, which sounds awesome. Not nearly as awesome. It's far more Star Wars holiday special than it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Incredible Hulk. The one thing about the Incredible Hulk show, and I know we just walked away from Dazzler. That's what you do to Dazzler. You walk. If you can't run or roller skate away, you walk away. The thing that always ticked me off about the Incredible Hulk was that you didn't see any villains. Okay, no super villains. You just had the Incredible Hulk in the TV show, right?
Yeah, that's why I never did like the Hulk. He just got mad and destroyed
so
things.
you never actually saw any super villains, much less any superheroes. So it's like, yeah, he's and then the little tinkly pianos. He walks off all sad and everything. Okay, should have known Bill Bixby. Bill Bixby is the John Denver of television. Anyway. Then they did, for some insane reason, right around 86, I think it was when New World bought the Marvel Comics line, they decided they were going to make a series of TV movies based on the Incredible Hulk, and they gave Bill Bixby, I don't know how much money to come back, and Lou Ferrigno, and they did a series of movies where he would meet one Marvel superhero after another. In one movie it was Thor, in another movie it was Daredevil. There was a third one. I can't remember who that one was. Each one, oh my God! Never mind the fact that it's not written by anybody with none of these movies were written by anybody with any comic book industry experience, or anybody who had any experience handling any of these characters, including the Incredible Hulk. It's the fact that they didn't have anybody who had even read a comic book, apparently, because these characters are nothing like the things they were based on. It was the quintessential Hollywood treatment of a superhero property. It was the kind of thing that just ticked you off as a fan until Marvel finally started their own studio. So, wow. It wasn't until Sam Raimi got a hold of Spider-Man that anybody took any Marvel movie seriously. And it wasn't until Iron Man 1 that people took the ideas of superheroes being legit theater. Because you and I both love Sam Raimi, but let's face it, he's got some stock. You know what you're going to get when Sam Raimi directs a film. It's the herky-jerky camera. It's the quick close up. It's all this other stuff. It's the exaggerated facial expressions. Iron Man was the first legit theatrical production that didn't have that kind of cinematics to help carry the water, let's say. So, anyway.
I thought you might get a kick out of that one, though.
Yeah.
Another thing that I'm laughing about.
I'll kick somebody about it.
Another thing I'm actually laughing about because I hate this movie. I hate it with a passion. You have no idea how much I hate these movies.
How much do you hate these movies, Chris? Which movies?
So much. Twilight.
They're doing a TV show on that, aren't they?
Yes, and it's a reboot. Now,
they're doing a TV show on Harry Potter, too.
Yeah.
And it's ticked a bunch of people off.
Yeah.
Except for the only people who are not ticked off, because I don't care about the Twilight thing. Take the Twilight thing out of here. Nobody cares about that nonsense. I'm going to talk about Harry Potter instead. Okay, I'm hijacking this thread. I'm taking this story and I'm just...
Ow! I got more.
Throw it away.
Throw it away.
Just throw the Twilight away. Okay. Nobody wants sparkly werewolves or anything. Okay, that's werewolf dandruff. Anyway, they're going to reboot. They're not even rebooting Harry Potter. They're remaking it for HBO Max. Or if it stays on HBO Max, I'll be surprised. It's going to wind up turning up on one of these television networks, I'm sure, at some point. But everybody is furious at this except Harry Potter fans. Harry Potter fans are actually excited about this. They can actually sit down and get to watch this again. It seems like everybody else who doesn't watch Harry Potter. Yeah. At least I haven't called him Harry or Potty yet, but I have never seen a Harry Potter anything. But there are so many people angry at J.K. Rowling for insisting you not perform genital mutilation on children. The fact that I even said that sentence, I'm so disgusted with 2023. I'm so disgusted with this country and the people in it at this point and all of humanity. Lord, just come down and just rapture us right up right now. Not take me up on that. Okay. I don't care about a Twilight TV show. Now, I'm not even going to care about a Twilight Zone TV show because they've already rebooted that 3 times, I think, and nobody can do it like Rod Serling did it because everybody's full of stupid. So,
did I ever tell you that I got kicked out of the theater watching Twilight?
Yeah, you kept laughing at all the sad parts.
Yeah,
because that's what I would be doing. Only I'd be sitting there throwing popcorn at the screen too. So.
I got kicked out of the theater and she dumped me.
She wanted to go see Twilight.
I thought it was supposed to be a comedy.
Hold on. The fact that she wanted to see Twilight should have given you an indication of just how low your standards actually were.
Okay, hold on.
Not her
Honestly,
standards. Her standards pretty low if she's dating that day and watching Twilight.
Hey.
But your standards are pretty low too that you're dating Twilight.
Now hold on. One, when the movie came out, I had no idea what Twilight was. A lot of people did not know what Twilight was. Unless you're a book reader, maybe. But I had no idea. I didn't know it was based on books. I just didn't know what it was about, period. But then, and again, I honestly thought it was supposed to be a comedy. It seemed like it was a comedy.
I know, I always laughed at it.
Oh, I did laugh. That's why I got booted. But yeah.
I'm glad I don't have Stephanie Meyer's wiener. But anyway. Talk about shrooms. Goodness.
Anyway. Jonathan Mayers loses projects after apparently assault charges, and he also lost his role as King the Conqueror.
Dang. I told you something was off.
And the thing is that this guy just had 2 big movies that he was in the new Creed movie as his opponent.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Ant-Man and the Wasp movie.
That's the real reason he's unemployed today is because his movies tanked. Had nothing to do with nothing else. Guaranteed.
So now they got to recast Kane, which honestly, listen to me, okay? I'm sorry. You have not sold me that this guy is that bad. I'm sorry. From the Loki series to the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, I am not afraid of this guy. Even the arena full of him, I'm just like, this is supposed to be better than Thanos?
Let me tell you, this is a Marvel specialty. It's been a specialty of the Marvel, quote, House of Ideas, the comic book side for a while. Okay, it's called the anti-villain. Okay, technically they're the villain. Technically they're the bad guy, but you can kind of, sort of, they're sort of, kind of cool. You can understand what their motivation. They're kind of, you can see why they're kind of like an anti-hero, like Wolverine is, or the Punisher, but they cross the line. So I'm not going to say Doctor Doom was an anti-villain, but Magneto was definitely an anti-villain. And for the X-Men, and Doctor Doom was supposed to be one for the Fantastic Four, and Kang was the anti-villain for the Avengers. The thing is, Kang always showed up, raised all kinds of heck. The Avengers have to punch him in the face. He'd fall back into time and show up again in 2 years when the writers ran out of ideas again.
Mm.
So,
No, thank you.
So
No, thank
they're trying to bring him back in. Is the idea of every universe has a Kang, and they're all aware of each other. Here's the thing, though. Kang is supposed to be like the Avengers Doctor Doom, basically. And they've never developed him right. Okay? There's just nothing, there's no there. If you really, really, really want to impress me, you bring all the Council of Kangs together like you did at the end of Ant-Man 3, and they're sitting there and they're screaming for blood, and suddenly the entire thing blows up in a huge nuclear fireball, and then you see the Council of Reed Richards standing by saying, are they gone? They're gone? The radioactive dust now? Excellent. Let's take over the multiverse. And then all of a sudden, instead of taking on an infinite number of idiotic Kangs, who, by the way, can be played by anybody, you can change actors between universes, to have them take on an infinite number of Reed Richardses, who are honestly the only person who stands a snowball's chance of coming close to his intellect would probably be Tony Stark, and he's dead. There you go. These things write themselves, and then you lead into the Fantastic Four movie where you've got Reed Richards married to Sue Storm, and she's got her younger brother Johnny, and there's Ben Grimm in the orange Rocky outfit, and all of a sudden you got all these Reed Richards running around. But the thing is, here's the hook that Marvel had, and I think it was an interesting one. The only Reed Richards who ever got married and became a father was our Reed Richards. All the rest of them either threw the Fantastic Four over to the side because they couldn't be bothered with them, didn't have time for them, or was too worried about them getting hurt to let them stay active. So in every other Reed Richards threw his marriage to Sue Storm away. They never had any children. Our Reed Richards got married, learned some humility to go with his intellect to separate him from Dr. Doom, and then he and Sue had a couple of kids. And then, believe it or not, further down the road, Ben Grimm actually marries his longtime girlfriend, Alicia Masters. And then you bring the puppet master in, which is Alicia Masters' father. He uses radioactive clay to make puppets to control people. He can control anybody if he can remake the clay in their image. But Alicia Masters is a sculptress, and she's blind. She's been dating Ben Grimm for years because she can see. Since she's blind, she can't see the orange craggy outside. She just knows the Ben Grimm inside. They get married. They wind up adopting. And I've got a big old poster over here to the side that you can't see. They wind up adopting a Skrull kid and a Kree kid and trying to raise them on Earth. So they're married with two adopted children. You've got Reed Richards and Sue Storm with their two natural children. And then those two together with poor old Johnny, who's feeling left out because man, being a bachelor sucks with all this family stuff going around. And now they've got to take on an infinite number of Reed Richardses who think that this Reed Richards is an idiot for getting involved like that. There's your Fantastic Four trilogy, guys.
You wrote it for you.
I wrote it for. I do it every time. We'll see whether they actually take advantage of it or not.
Some on exciting news.
Yeah.
Jack Black's Peaches song is on the Billboard's Hot 100.
I saw that.
At number 83.
Actually, I'd imagine it's going up by the Peaches. Anyway,
Peaches. He was good.
Jack Black. Jack Black's just got so little shame that he can actually succeed as a rock.
He's
guy,
literally a kid.
He is. He's a large.
kid.
He's a man child. That's what he is.
All right, now this one here is just something I just want to talk about real quick.
Okay, quick.
There's some upcoming movies that I have a feeling people are going to talk about it, but they're not going to be in every theater. You know what I mean?
Limited release, yeah, like art house films.
Yeah. And I kid you not.
As a fan of the Fathom Event series, yes, I know what you're talking about, Chris. Go ahead.
Now, I kid you not, some of these I did not know that there was an actual connection, but all of them but one has Nazis in it. I kid you not. I was like, wait a
The film's
minute.
called But One?
All right, so
That would be an interesting movie studio name right there. That's going to be the name of our studio, But One.
so the first one is called Sisu.
I've seen ads for that. I have no idea what it's about, and honestly, I don't care.
So the movie is the people that did the John Wick trilogy.
Again,
It
don't
is.
care.
It's already gotten 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Of course it has. It's one of the guys who did John Wick.
The movie is about a prospector out in the middle of nowhere, discovers gold, travels to the nearest town, which is like a long way away, and runs into some Nazis that just, hey, we're going to kill you. But apparently they messed with the wrong person. That's all I know so far, but I got to admit, it looks good. It looks fun to me just to see a guy that just goes off and kills Nazis.
Time out. Right up to the point where you started fighting Nazis, I was thinking, that's the Uncle Scrooge story. That's how Uncle Scrooge first made his fortune. He goes off in the middle of nowhere. He's a big cantankerous guy, doesn't want to deal with nobody, goes off in the Klondike, discovers this huge gold reserve, and then has to bring it back. Has to bring it back to the nearest town.
Oh my goodness!
It's the Uncle Scrooge story. Don Rosa told this story.
It's Uncle Scrooge.
It's Uncle Scrooge in the Klondike.
Wow.
So, which honestly, Disney...
I like
Disney,
that. That is great.
please.
Oh
Go
my goodness.
Disney, please. I know Disney's not listening to any reason or any sense right now.
Yeah, they're not. So
And we're an hour into this. I'm not listening to any reason or sense. But please make your peace with Don Rosa. Do whatever it takes. Get back on his good side. Get him involved in adapting a series of Uncle Scrooge animated movies. And just make all the money in the world. Okay?
Yes.
Don't CGI it. No. Use Don Rosa's art modeling to make these films because it channels, oh my goodness. It started out channeling Karl Barks almost perfectly before he started developing his own style, and he kind of like emerged, he kind of like developed it into his own way, which, by the way, remind me to talk about art style here when you get done. And then you would make a fortune with a beautifully animated Life and Times of Uncle Scrooge trilogy of films.
That would be so great, but they're not going to.
They won't because they're too stupid to do it.
They're concentrating on one thing, and that is making money instead of the magic that it started.
No, they're not even worried about making money. They're worried about making points. Because if they were worried about making money, they'd have done these films. So, like we said last time, if Disney really wanted to make money, they'd be releasing the original animated films back into theaters instead of doing these crappy live-action remakes that lose $150 million a throw.
Yeah. They're stupid.
Mic drop. So, what else we got?
Number 2 is a movie that is just okay. This sounds like the old. Remember the old Freaks movie?
Yeah,
Not
Todd
the
Browning.
not the comedy one, but the one that was never
The
shown.
one from the one from the 1930s by Todd Browning. Yes.
This is called Freaks versus the Rich.
Freaks versus the Rich.
Yes, this is a fantasy.
I didn't know there was any difference.
This is a fantasy circus freaks taking on Nazis.
Yeah, there is a lot of Nazis going on.
Yeah, I know.
I guarantee you there's a reason. And
I know.
I'll explain
That's
it.
what I was thinking too. I was like, there's a reason here.
There is. And I'll tell you what I think it is. You go right ahead and get through the rest of them, though.
Number 3 is the one that I think you said you also wanted to watch. The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Which is, it's like they finally took a classic horror movie, like, you know, the old black and white type of horror films, and found a way to adapt it into this day and age where you're not going to see a bunch of blood and guts being thrown everywhere. I am really excited about this movie.
I saw the trailer for this. I think we talked about it last time. I'm excited because they're actually making a Dracula movie without Dracula in the title.
That's right.
That indicates an awful lot of confidence in that, and not just in the film, but in the script and in the acting ability. That's a good sign.
And there's some under breath voices in the media that is saying that this movie is going to be absolutely amazing.
This does strike me. Even if it doesn't make a fortune at the box office, I'm getting a real cult film vibe from this.
Yes.
Where in about 10 years, it's going to be like Princess Bride level, where it's just got the buzz going for it, and everybody sees it later.
Yes, this is what I think that was it? Yeah, Universal, when they was talking about doing the Universal monster movies.
Mm-hmm.
This is the type of thing that I was expecting.
Right.
But this is nothing to do with what their idea was. So, They wanted something stupid, but this is the type of thing that I was expecting of their monster movies.
This is a legitimate, creative reimagining of intellectual property, namely Dracula. But to take it you take the Dracula legend, kind of mix it around with Nosferatu a little bit, throw it on a boat like everybody loves a good boat tragedy. So just a splash of Titanic with it, and then just go for it and just have fun with it.
Yes.
All right.
Number 4 is the Ministry of The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. It has Henry Cavill, written and directed by Guy Ritchie, which we just talked about. It's another movie about some soldiers just doing their thing during World War II, and all I know is that the pictures that I have seen of the movie look so old-timey, like the pictures are like black and white. And Henry Cavill looks amazing as like this. He looks like he just walked out of a mine shaft. Like he's wearing like this overalls with that mustache look. And so, yeah, I'm excited. It just looks great. It sounded really interesting.
There is a lot of Nazi punching.
There is. There's so much.
There's not necessarily anything wrong with that. Now,
No.
let's wrap this real quick.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we've got 2 things you got to do. Okay. I was going to tell you why I think we're going to be seeing a bunch of Nazis being punched.
Yes.
The idea is to get across that we are dealing with 21st century Nazis now as we go into the 2024 election cycle. Guaranteed that's what these creators are thinking. So, to get the people idea to the idea of Nazis being a thing, to show what Nazis really are, so when they go around calling registered Republicans Nazis, you'll have a better idea of what they actually were. Now, F that S. Let's get to the most important news of the week, and I'm surprised you haven't heard this yet. Because I'll give you a hint. At the beginning of every episode of Geekin Out since episode 200, when I updated the opening sequence, right at the very beginning, what does it say? You get past the who, what, where, Al. What do you see when you hear A, B, C, D? Can you remember?
No,
Now you can't.
I
You cannot
can't.
remember how every episode of Geekin Out has started since episode 200. I'll give you a hint. There's an owl in it. It's a black and white owl with red lettering. And there's 4 drawings. The first one says thank God for Bill Watterson. Do you know who Bill Watterson is? Do you even know who Bill Watterson is?
No.
Pop quiz time. You do not?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hold on. I have to issue. He knows who Bill Watterson is, but he's forgotten because it's been so long. Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh,
That's Bill Watterson, the guy who wrote and drew Calvin and Hobbes.
okay.
So I'm bringing everything to a dead stop, and we're going to end this episode on this.
Okay.
There is a new Bill Watterson project dropping in October. It is called The Mysteries. It's a hardcover. He's working with a new artist named John Cash. Okay. Bill Watterson's going to be writing this, and it's supposed to be essentially like a picture book for grown-ups. Kind of like a fairy tale picture book for grown-ups with the idea that there are some weird things going on. I don't care. I honestly don't care if they're illustrating the Manhattan phone book. It's Bill frickin' Watterson is back and actively creating again. That shows you that, 1, miracles can still happen, and 2, not all. There are silver linings to every cloud. So Bill Watterson is back. It's coming in October. Stay tuned to Geekin' Out. I'll keep you updated. Didn't even know about it until I tripped over it on an Amazon webpage.
Well,
I've got it on standby right now. I've got it on standby when it comes out in October. When it comes out in October. Excuse me. Mushrooms kicking back. But anyway, so we'll keep you informed. So, Chris, any final things before we get the heck out of here? Because according to my clock, we have been recording now for over an hour and 10 minutes.
Peace.
Speaking of peace,
Love.
we need to wrap this up.
Happiness. Okay.
Yeah.
And soul.
Are you done?
Yeah.
You're done.
I'm done.
You sure you're done?
I'm
You sure
done. I'm done, man. I'm done.
You
Okay,
done,
I'm
Don Corny?
done.
You done, Don
I'm
Corny
done.
Hillis?
I'm done. I'm done.
Don Corny's done.
I'm
So,
done.
until next time, I'm
Done.
Spike.
Chris.
He's done. And we'll see y'all keep on geeking out. Bye.